Hi, and welcome back to my intro to Skyrim piece. This is the second part where I'm going to try to go get through Helgen Keep as much as I can. Um, I realized that last time when I was describing the game that I was playing, I said that I was on vanilla Skyrim, which technically I am not. It is a Skyrim with DLC. So so that includes Dawnguard, Hearthstone, Dragonborn. So it's technically not vanilla Skyrim because of the DLC, but because I'm not playing with mods, it's still pretty close to the original game. There'll be some elements from the DLC that'll come up, and I'll try to point those out as best I can. The biggest element that I definitely will probably see in this game at some point with the DLC is from Dawnguard with the vampires, and I'll kind of talk about that. Hopefully I'll get a chance to talk about that a little bit in this piece. I did close down after the last one because I kind of wanted to show the loading. So it defaults to continue when you come back in, and that will take you to the last save, whether it is an auto save, a quick save, or a manual save. If you want to go to do your load, if you want to load a specific one, like you want to go back, you can go back here. The prisoner ones are where I exited out to test some things before actually continuing on, before actually making the characters. So I actually quit the game before the character creation part. So it's right at that point. And I have one other new character that I had started to test out a few things to see what might be best for the graphic setting and that sort of thing. And Marina is, of course, my Khajiit. Some things to look at on this screen if you're playing on like sort of the special edition, anything with mods. Your add-ons would be your DLC. There's the Dawnguard that I was talking about. Creation Club is something that Bethesda has, where you can go and I'm not sure really how it differs a whole lot from the mods. I'll admit I am not a Skyrim expert. We're not going to see any profound insights into Skyrim that you can't get from a lot of other places. Mods would be like what mods you want to add, and going in, obviously you'll get this. So obviously I have not updated this Skyrim. This is a fresh install. And talking about mods is important. This means that because I'm not playing with mods, there may be the potential for other issues coming up. One of the more common mods to use is a unofficial patch, which helps address issues in Skyrim that Bethesda still has not addressed. And another one that I tend to like to use when using Dawnguard is vampires don't attack cities. But we'll talk about that hopefully a little later. So I'm just going to hit continue. It'll confirm, right? And we have a loading screen. Because we love our loading screens. So a little thing, you can actually manipulate the objects in the loading screen. You can turn them. Because I'm using a console controller joystick, and I realize that some folks on the PC are not fond of the console controller joysticks. I get that. This is just how I like to play. If you like mouse and keyboard better, I totally get it. You can get, especially on first-person shooter games, you can get really exacting on where your shots are. So, in this part, it's going to introduce us to things like looting, to how to open containers, combat, the basics of combat, and that sort of thing.
You better get some gear.
So, what's nice is that it'll tell you when these chests are open. Obviously, we can't sleep in these beds yet because this is an intro area. If you have a joystick with any sort of feedback, I do get rumbles when I hear the dragons. So there's armor, right? Some gold. So the armor, generally that little triangle up means that it is better than what you're currently wearing, and I'll show you where to do that. So some important things to also know is in here, right? You have your quests. You can toggle these on or off. These will give you an indication of where you want to go. Stats, like what you've completed, fun things like that. System, mods, settings, control settings. Here, Bethesda's pretty good about letting you update, alter some of these controls. I realize there's probably limited on what you can do, but also gameplay settings, like how sensitive your looking around is, vibration controller. The difficulty, I am not somebody to say, oh, you have to play it on a certain difficulty. I like adept, right? Sometimes I'll bump it up or down if I think things are too hard or too easy. But if you want to go all the way to novice and essentially really have a laid-back Skyrim game, that's fine. This is your game. You get to do with it what you want. Don't let folks say that it has to be done in a certain way. These are autosave options. I don't see any point in not leaving these on. Somebody may know out there. So these can be useful, especially when you forget to save. Again, it's really important to save often. Your display settings, how bright you want it, how dark, all that stuff. Some of this is going to be based on, let's turn on the dialogue subtitles and general subtitles. What the heck? Some of these are going to be based on your graphics capability. I am on a laptop, so it's not a high graphics intensive machine. So these are your sound settings, things like that. Again, mods, things like that. This is my little pause. I can attack back and forth. I am Khajiit, which means that I have claws, which can do damage. However, it means that I can't really enchant my claws, whereas I can get enchanted weapons and things like that. Sorry, this is your really core screen where you have all your items, your magic, your maps. So, world map, right? To show you where you're at, and so you have your general like inner location. You can switch to the world map, and the special editions really has the world map on the, well, not perfect on the special edition. It is much better. I feel like they've brightened up a lot of stuff. It's still really hard to determine roads or things like that on this. And so another popular mod that people will sometimes get will be map mods, especially ones that highlight the road paths and things like that. And you can set destinations, things like that. That just sort of gives you a marker up on your HUD on where you have to go next. Those little downward triangles, and you'll see as we explore sights will show up on that upper at the top there, my compass, items and things like that. Skills, this is when we level up, what we will select as our skill perks. Skyrim uses a classless system, so you're not locked into a specific class. That said, you generally want to focus your skills on a few things. It's real easy to get yourself spread out on a lot of things because everything levels up as you use it. The thing is that the creatures will also level up as you use them, as you will level up with you as well to some extent. So if you're being a sword and board fighter, so you're using one hand and block a lot, and maybe heavy armor, right? If that's your style, but you wind up putting a whole bunch of stuff into like spells and things like that you don't really use, that's actually going to hurt you, because as you level up those spells that you're not really interested in using, you're taking away perks that you need in, say, these other skill areas. And then it's going to make your fights a little bit harder. You can really wind up power leveling with smithing, enchanting, and potion making, and sneaking to some degree. There's a place where you can really power level with your sneak. And as long as you're actually utilizing the stuff that you make from enchanting and smithing and potion making, it winds up being okay after all. My jump. So, items and magic. You do start out with a little bit of magic-y magic. Flames, a healing spell. These are powers. These are going to be, this screen is also going to have your shouts when you get those. And one thing that you can do is you can do favorites. And it's saying how to activate those favorites. Like, improved night vision. I don't know that I really use it too much. I do tend to keep my brightness up a lot. This one I don't have to favorite. It just, when I'm unarmed, this is what I'm going to be using. Restoration, it's useful to use that as well. And flames. And then if you just want to see all your stuff, all your favorites. Items, so this is what I'm wearing, apparel, and this screen here is going to really fill out. So why don't I see if I can pick up a few more things. So one of the things that you have to make a determination on early in the game is how much junk are you going to pick up. I have a tendency to pick up everything. So what I've decided is my breakdown is, if I either need it, like I really kind of need a sword right now, and so either I need it, or if I can figure out the value is going to be worth more than, say, 5 gold per 1 of weight, I will pick it up. Right now, later on, I'll probably pick up a lot less. Like these tankards, I could sell them, but they're not going to be worth much. That's the quest indicator right there. They want me to go into that chest right specifically, but I'm going to take that other sword first. Yes, I know. And he kind of like is very insistent that I go and open up this chest. And so, Imperial Light Armor, let me see, what else do I already have? See how this is already filling out with your weapons. So I already have two iron swords, so I don't need another one because they're just going to weigh me down. I want that, and obviously the key. So then to equip items, right? We go into our items. We can again favorite this right now. We'll go ahead and wear that. We'll wear that. We'll wear that. Food sometimes has effects, so this bumps your stamina up, but it slows your stamina regeneration. Kind of make you a little bit tipsy. So in this basic Skyrim, you don't have to worry about eating or drinking or sleeping. There's some really wonderful mods that enhance the experience of Skyrim by adding things like a necessity for food and drink, and things like that. And he's just going to do this thing. He's going to open up the door. Meanwhile, what's nice is that if you go into your favorites, it pauses the game. So I'm going to equip both of these iron swords. You can equip items in both hands. You can do dual wielding. You can use whichever hand you want as your primary hand if you're doing sword and shield, or single-handed weapon and shield. You can two-handed weapons obviously will use up both weapons, and you can even do things like put fire in one and a sword in another. And then, or you can do fire and healing, right? That's to resheath it. And then it just basically is, and if you hold, yeah, it'll tell you when you're getting too low to do much else. Which means that you can continue to attack, but you can't really power attack. So, but for this character, because I'm going to go with a sneaky character, and my primary magic is going to be illusion, which is a really powerful. Stealth characters in Skyrim are pretty powerful. We're gonna get into our first fight here.
Just give me a minute. I'm out of breath.
Hear that? Storm close. Maybe we can reason with them.
You would like to think that, wouldn't you?
Hold up now. We only. If you want to die, so be it.
This is an easy fight to begin with. I know some people prefer melee and the third-person view,
Let me see if I can get that door open.
which would be like this. And in fact, a lot of people do like to play Skyrim in third person. This is worth it. This is worth it. This is worth it. This is worth it. All right. If I wanted to go two-handed, this is your first two-handed weapon right here, and I've done two-handed builds. Most of my builds do tend to be sneak builds. They're just the sneak and snipe, the sneaky folks with arrows tends to be really easier, pretty easy to manage.
Come on, this way.
And taking down dragons is so much easier with a good ranged attack than trying to chase after them through the land when you see them flying. We're not going to really get to a dragon soon yet. Carrots, yeah. There's a joke that you'll see with Skyrim where, you're in the middle of a fight. I've seen comics where they show a person in the middle of a fight and they like pause for a moment, and then eat a whole bunch of cabbages, right? Because to heal themselves up. So this is your first. These are your first healing potions, essentially, to begin with. Are food. So lanterns, things like this. Some of the mods turn this stuff into really potentially useful items. I've seen mods where you can melt down junk items. I've seen there's a mod where you can have wearable lanterns, which take the place of torches, because you can have a torch in this game for when it's dark. You can have a torch, though you have to use it in one hand, right? So we're going to come up to another fight here soon in the quote-unquote torture chamber.
Damn, that dragon doesn't give up easy.
What are you doing? We need to get out of Helgen. Now!
These Imperials have potions in here. We're going to need them. Where'd you come from?
Time to end this game.
So yeah, you're kind of a murder hobo in this game. There you go.
An old storeroom. See if you can find some potions.
I'm using one-handed because some of the skills associated with stealth and kind of assassiny characters are helpful if you're using specifically one-handed. And there's one. Eventually I'm going to go to daggers because of that sort of thing. So this will be, you can see these little rabbits and pheasants. You can cook some of these things up. Some of the mods, especially the mods that use food, where you have to eat, include additional recipes that are really worth cooking. These are potions, so magic restoration. I'll tend to take any ingredients that I see, and because ingredients are useful in potion making, and there's a couple of ways that you can figure out like what ingredients or what potions an ingredient is good for. There's my go to that barrel, look into that barrel, which I will do after I collect some carrots and some apples. And there's a way to just take everything, obviously. Some more carrots. I'll probably see about eating that stuff before I have to use a potion, or just selling it. Salt, minor healing. Some of these items, like the fur boots and fur gauntlets, when you're playing with mods, there's especially Frostfall has things like temperature and all of that, which is so depending on what you're wearing, it becomes really important when you're out in the colder areas. Again, that's a mod, but it's a really good one. So if you're able to run mods it's a survival mod that really enhances the experience of Skyrim. So obviously, so we have minor healing, which heals our hit points. Magicka, which is going to restore mana or magic as we use that, and minor stamina. So, like, I might as well go ahead and show this. Like weapons, you can do two-handed fire. So, that's one-handed, right? And the blue goes down. Oh, hey, there's some more wine. Try the wine. And you can do two. And certain skills will enhance. You can get enhanced dual casting, so it makes it more powerful than if you were doing just single casting. Healing as magic is going to be useful, and I think I'm gonna call it quits for now. So we're almost at a half hour. So thank you for watching. If you like this, subscribe, that sort of stuff. Whatevs. I don't believe I just said that. Okay. Thank you for watching. Remember, save, save, save.